Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Engine Builder Show. Today's pretty special because we just hit our 150th episode. And that's why on today's show, Gabe will be sharing what he learned from recording 150 episodes on the show. Yup, this show, The Engine Builders. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for tuning in and enjoy the show. Good morning, everybody.
There was always a ton to learn. Hey everyone, I am excited to be recording the 150th episode here. So thanks for tuning in if you're live or if you catch this on YouTube later or listening to it as an audio podcast. Thanks for being part of this journey. It's been a lot of fun. And just like Jethro said, I want to talk to you a little bit about the lessons I've learned because this is my longest running show. It's the show that I've done the most episodes on. One of my other long running shows, Today's Business Leaders, is into the hundreds, but we have not reached the 150 episode mark because I do longer form interviews with successful entrepreneurs. It's a show I love doing. So check that out too. Today's Business Leaders. I've had some pretty amazing entrepreneurs on there and business leaders. But again, it's been quite the journey. And I learned a lot. It's been, I want to say, around 6 months or so of recording the Engine Builder Show. And I started this show because I wanted to make sure that there was just daily coaching, encouragement, and resources for anyone who wants to have a marketing engine that performs for them consistently on a daily basis. And with all things in entrepreneurship and business and with leadership even, I believe it's important to realize that a lot of success can be scheduled, as my friend George Bryant says, and a lot of things with success are really boring. They're simple, but they're hard. And the simple parts are, if you find a simple formula to follow, then you can reach success. The hard part is consistency. Consistency has been hard for me on this show. But I want to say, I don't think we've missed a single episode because we run 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And one of the things I do to prepare for that is, on occasion, there are days where I'm traveling or I'm going to be on a plane or it'd be impossible to stream this live, where there are times where I do pre-record this. Some of the times we do pre-record. But that's helped me be consistent and show up every day. And one of the things with consistency is you can either build it into your schedule on a daily basis, which is something that's been really successful for me with this show and with other projects, or you can batch what you're doing so that you have a time block to get a bunch of things prepared and then you can drip content out. I've done it both ways. And I know one of the first times that I heard that process of batching things was when I listened to the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast with John Lee Dumas, which I was grateful to connect with him and meet him at an event a few years back. And I was just amazed at how he just was super consistent in putting out content on a daily basis. And I asked him, what's the secret? How do you do that? That seems really hard. And I forget if he was 5 days a week or 7 days a week back then. I think he was already 7 days a week because I believe he started the show that way. But he said, I record for like 12 or 14 hours every Monday. And that just, pushes out, he has all his content prepared ahead of time. And that way he's able to keep showing up consistently. And so that was one of the first times where I was like, oh, I can batch my creative process. I can batch pieces of my marketing. I can get in and do a lot of things at once and then share them over time. And that's one of the things that has helped me at different times overcome kind of the consistency challenge, because there's some stats and it changes, it changes over the years, but I've read stats where most podcasts don't make it past episode 10, and that's why they fail. And so even though there's hundreds and thousands and millions of, probably at this point, podcasts, it's not that hard to stand out and be successful in any space, in my experience, if you just show up consistently. And so that's the first thing that I've learned again. And I think I'll keep learning that throughout my whole entrepreneurial journey, is that consistency is hard, but if you plan for it, if you get accountability and support, then you have the ability to be successful. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about how Jethro shows up for me every day when we do this, is he helps me show up. He holds me accountable. He helps me get the content out on a consistent basis. And often that's the secret, is just we've talked about that on the show before, but having some kind of accountability is what will push you forward, on a consistent basis. So consistency is hard. That's the first thing I've learned in recording now, this being 150 episodes. And the second thing that I've learned is I don't always feel creative. And I mean, I'm sure you could talk to my team, my family members, friends. People have said to me before, man, you produce a ton of content. How do you do that? And it's not always easy. There's plenty of times where I don't feel creative, where I feel stuck, where I don't think like I have anything useful to share. And I remember that even just the act of showing up will force me in a healthy way to kind of get over the hump and get creative. And there's other times where you don't have to be creative. I will probably talk about email marketing on this show 1,000 times, because we'll be doing this show for many years to come. And, I'll probably talk about it, hundreds and maybe thousands of times. And it will always, be relevant for the foreseeable future. So sometimes we think as creators, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as marketers, and we're putting content out there, sometimes we have this false belief that, oh, I already talked about that, and so people know about it. And so how can I talk about that again? It's just inaccurate. It's probably a little bit egotistical. I know it was for me. I assumed everybody would tune in and watch every episode of the show. And that's not reality. Your audience is busy. They may have just joined your world, your online family or your offline family, or however you're reaching them, however they're part of your community. And the other thing is, it's kind of foolish. And I've thought this too. So if you've thought this, you're in, in good company, because I've thought this too. It's kind of foolish to think, oh, if I talk about this thing one time, then everybody will get it and they'll apply it and they'll move on and be successful. If that was the case, it would be so much easier to be in business, because I would have only had to heard good advice or seen a good process or learned about something powerful once, and then I'd apply it. In reality, that's not how it goes. For me, sometimes it takes me like 6, 7, 10, 20, maybe even 30 times to hear a concept until I go, oh, that's what it means. And so when we don't feel creative, it's totally okay to go back and rehash and reteach and kind of put a new spin on, or even just in a sense, talk about the same thing again if we haven't talked in a while, because that is how you share your knowledge, your expertise, and your authority in the space. That's how you show what you know and show up. And so consistency, we can overcome. Not feeling creative, we can overcome. But when we overcome those things, what happens is the sticking to it is what helps us grow our business. And for me, I've seen with this show, I may have shared this in an episode as well, but as a reminder, kind of just what I'm talking about, I'll share it again here. I've been able to generate around $1,000 an hour of revenue from this show, and just a few opportunities. And just as importantly, this is a way that I can show up and serve you every day. And so if you think about your own business and you think about how to build a marketing as an engine that's going to actually push you forward and help you grow in the long run, it's not about seeking these huge events that are these massive explosions or these massive accomplishments. Yes, those are good. There's nothing wrong with them. When you can achieve them, do it. But just as importantly, and probably even more importantly, is you want to create a snowball of marketing effect, a snowball of your brand. And so if you start out small and you're talking to your audience once a week, as a minimum is a great place, then you have a little snowball and people start to remember. When you start to do that a couple times a week, things grow. When you start to show up consistently on a daily basis in front of your audience, you get this ever-growing snowball that ultimately becomes this powerhouse where you're getting referrals, you're getting exposure, people know who you are, and your business is going to grow. The other advantage of having a podcast, and we help our clients launch podcasts for their businesses, is you will be able to learn through the process of just practice and repetition. It'll help you become a more effective communicator. If you would have asked me 2 years ago or even a year ago, can you do a 10-minute or so podcast episode every day? I would have said, man, I don't know how I could be effective and concise in just a matter of 10 minutes. But in reality, through practice, I've been able to grow as a communicator. And it's helped me, refine the concepts that I've talked about in my book, Atomic Words, which you can get a copy of at atomicwords.com. And it's just helped me really, practice that consistency and practice showing up on a daily basis. So recording 150 episodes has not been easy, but I'm excited because it's a pretty big milestone. I'm really grateful that you've been a part of the journey here, and I'm really excited for the shows that we're going to have tomorrow, next week, the coming months, because this is something where I get to connect with you on a daily basis, and you get to learn some new things that will help you move forward in business. And my goal is always to share principles, share what's working, continue to encourage you on the path of consistency, because when we're consistent, that's when we truly build a marketing engine that will help our business grow in the long run. So today, I just want to say thank you again for being part of this journey. Thanks for making 150 episodes possible. And tomorrow, I'm super excited to share with you something new that will help you on the marketing front and help you grow your business. But for today, just a huge thanks from me. I'm grateful for you and who you are in my life. And if you need anything, you can find us at businessmarketingengine.com. And we look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show.